everyone, and welcome to Shergroup on the sofa. How are you all? I hope you're all good. Today I'm delighted to introduce my guest, Angi Doy, who we met through BNI, Business Networking International. And I've asked Angi to join us today because she's a business coach. She's got significant experience in the corporate sector, has built her own businesses, has been involved in the Chambers of Commerce in Norfolk, and she's just got a huge amount of what I call commercial nous, really, to share with all of you budding entrepreneurs and business owners out there. And she's been a rock solid friend all the way through the pandemic. We've been talking, and she's been a ton of energy for me. So I hope that you can find something in this interview, which I'm sure you will, as we chat about Angi's life as a business coach. So hello, Angi.
Hi there.
And of course, you and I met through BNI, which was very fortuitous in Norfolk. You were giving, obviously through our BNI experience, we talk about how you came to be where you are. There are lots of coaches out there, although I haven't met that many, I have to say. There are lots of people in BNI, I guess, that are business coaching, but I like you. And so I liked your approach, which is so calming. Do you know, you're a really calming person? I don't know if you know that about yourself. But what do you think is your approach? I find you calming. What do you think?
I think it's looking at a whole life, because the main thing, the barometer for how life is going or how the business is going, is like, how do you feel? And if people, you should be in love with your business. You should be, because I know you're in love with Shergroup. It really shows.
Really? Does it show?
But you should be. And it is a passion, and most of us start a business because of a passion. And people just fall out of love with their businesses when something's out of balance. So look at that whole life and just say, well, what is it that you really want out of life? What kind of lifestyle do you want? So I'm always offering to wave my magic wand. I don't actually have one, but I always offer people, if I could wave my magic wand and get you what you want and to where you want in 12 months' time, what would that look like? What would that feel like? And daring to be bold, putting in all the ingredients. Well, I'd like to occasionally see my kids, I'd like to have a holiday. I'd like to have a holiday where I could relax, because some people are on holiday and they've got the laptop and the phone and
Wouldn't know about that at all.
But really, you should be able to park it and relax. So it's putting all those ingredients about what the business has to deliver, because that's the vehicle that's going to deliver this lifestyle, is the business. So that's why I'm not being nosy. I'm just wanting to find out, just what is, the perfect life like, and then designing a route to get there. And it's never rocket science. Once you've actually found what the dream is, then you can pop the hood on the business and see if it can get you there. And usually it can. It's very rare. It can happen. I know there's an example that Nigel Botterill from EC gave the other week, where he had to say to a business, this business is not going to take you to the level you've just asked for. And it was a handcrafted soap business, a beautiful little business, but the economies of scale just weren't going to work at the money that the guy wanted, because that's a factory soap business. So but usually the answer is, yes, how are we going to get there using this vehicle, this business, to get you there? So that's where I start.
I mean, I hadn't heard before, or if I had, it hadn't really resonated with me, about when you say about people being in love with their business. Because some days I get up and I do treat Shergroup a bit like a third child. I've got two real children, and then I've got Shergroup, and that's my problem child. My two real kids are a dream. Shergroup is like, it's still kind of demanding all my attention, and often my husband's as well. So he probably thinks he's got a third child, and he didn't want that one. So it is about somehow finding a way to love the business, whether it's in good times or in not so good times, isn't it? You've got to kind of ride that roller coaster of running a business. Some people get it a lot easier, I think, than others, but you know, people like you help people like me vocalize how we feel about our businesses, but perhaps as business owners we don't get to talk to anyone about that, because
it's quite difficult, isn't it, to find it's a trust factor there, and people like to look good in front of their peers, don't they? Because you will have people who'll come to a networking group and be very, very, very positive about their business and telling you how well they're doing, and then they'll disappear. Where have they gone? And when you phone them to see how they are, they're broke, there's something wrong. And so, well, you know, why ever didn't you tell us in that trusted environment where we would have supported you through that? But it is difficult. So I think it's learning who you can trust and where you can actually be really honest in safe company and say, you know, I've got an issue, has anybody else? And in a group like BNI, somebody in the room has been through the pain that you're in and found a solution and come out the other side, and they're only too happy to just talk you through it. But it's those people that you can relate to and will trust with an issue that's important to you, and you get great advice. You do get
well, I know you've given me lots of advice in the 2 years that I've known you, and it's been a real help to me to be able to vocalize my dreams and my ideas, but also, you know, if things aren't going quite right, it's nice to have someone to talk that through with. And I'm sure your clients, you know, as they come to you for coaching, really get into it with you around what's going right and what's going not so right. Because that's all part of running a business.
I think with the coaching, you do need to be really honest with your coach and just say what you really, really want. You know, it's you can dare to dream, and you can dare to be bold and dare to even voice the thing that you've never said before. Even admit, you know, no, I don't love the business. Some days I get up and I just want a duvet day. I do not want to go, and it's fine. It's okay to feel like that, and it's just saying, you know, why can we put a bit of the magic back? And once the business is rewarding you, then it's much easier to love it.
Of course. So you know, 2022, making 2022 the best year yet. We're a quarter way through the year. People that have sort of come out of the pandemic and said, right, I'm gonna make 2022 the best year yet. And maybe it's not quite working out for them. Is that still possible? What do you think?
Absolutely. I just think it's never too late to take the next right step. And I think that's why I do all these sort of analysis, but fact finding and background checking before we work out what is the next right step for you and your business. Because, you know, people are you know, they don't want the overwhelm, they just want what is the next simple step that will take me in the direction of my dream. What's the big vision? And that's why it's important to have a big vision, because it will pull you, and you need that pull on those.
Tell me about it.
But what you're in it for, you know, why you're doing it, you know the reason why. It's usually your loved ones, it's usually family, isn't it? But you're doing it for them. But you need that big vision to think, you know, yes, I really want it. And if you ever don't, it just needs adjusting. You know, it is a route, and it can change. You're not fixing it in stone, but you just say, well, you know, this next step, will it take me towards my goal or my dream, or a little bit further away, or am I just, you know, just treading water? What will it do? And you really want just the next manageable step, just to take you a little bit closer, just a little bit closer.
And you then ease, though, you get the tweezers and pull that out, don't you? What that next step's going to be.
Well, we know the vision's right when that's pulling them, because it's their idea, their dream. And once you say, yes, you can actually have it. So what would it take to get you there? And that's when you just plan the route. And
Yeah.
it really does break down to some very, very simple steps. Just being there for yourself, really, just being, there for your business and doing the income generating stuff, and not being driven by the business. So it's almost like, an employer and you work for the business. You don't want to be in that situation. It's your vehicle. You need to drive it, and it's just like, where do you want to go, what speed do you want to go, and where do you want to get to? So it's really important.
Yeah, and I know you get into the numbers in businesses as well. I know you make business owners sit down and look at their numbers and coach them through their numbers, which so whilst all the dreaming stuff is lovely, I know you're very much going to be looking at the numbers with people and making them face up to perhaps a few hard facts, or some nice facts. Maybe they're better off than they thought they were. I don't know.
Yeah, it usually comes down to a figure once you actually have the dream.
Yeah.
And not everything in the dream is. I mean, sometimes it's just the freedom to go to a sports day, or like a son or daughter's passing out parade if they're older. It's what you really want to do with your time and the freedom to be able to do it. It's that flexibility, and that's just priceless. You can't put a value on that. Just being there, you'll never regret being there for your family, or all the little things.
Yeah.
But they say, just do the little things. As you look back and you find out they were huge. They were the big things. They were all the things that the family talk about. But yeah, there is a cost. And I mean, I'm not naturally a mathematician at all.
No.
I like figures to tell a story. I usually convert the numbers into words and say, well, this is what it's telling us. But at some point, a business owner is going to say, if this is what I want, then how much does that lifestyle cost? And then we have to bring it back to the business and say, well, at the moment, how close are we? How far apart are we?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter if that's a big number, or if people have been treading along at a sort of a glass ceiling, for years, or a decade. It doesn't matter. It's like, what we're going to do now to actually budget.
Yeah.
What would it take? And they're not big sums. It's just number crunching. But if you can add up and multiply, you'll crack it. But we actually cheat and do spreadsheets that actually have formulas already in them. So just say, put your best guess here, and we play with them.
Okay, well, that's great. Spreadsheets where it's at, really. So you take people through this process. I mean, how do businesses get to work with you? What's the way to connect with you, do you think? What's the best way?
Well, we meet usually, it's either through networking, but the best first place is to have a one-to-one call with me.
Yeah.
And it usually we go for about 45 minutes or an hour to just listen to the business of what they want. What do they want? And what part of that have they not got? What is it? What is the issue? What do they really want? And then just finding out how we can get that for them. I mean, sometimes I'm always dispensing free stuff. There's all the kind of the magic Rolodex. You say, well, actually, try this free course, or try that, free software. And sometimes that's all people need, or that's the next step for them, is to do that problem. And then they can always come back for another bite. But it's just the exploration of just having a conversation. And again, it's a safe conversation because it's completely confidential. I'm 100% on their side. I always really want their business and get to succeed. And I get very, very excited about people's businesses and what they could do with it. And so it is a chat. I mean, there's no amount of leaflet that could pop, or literature I could send that could replace a good chat about, what's it really like.
And I mean, Zoom is a great vehicle for all of us now when it works,
Yes.
to be able to talk to people, if not face to face. I mean, that must have broadened your reach as a business, if that's what you want. But I mean,
very, very much so.
Yeah.
I love to see people though. it's just another way of shortening the distance, because it's opened up. People can be anywhere. But even amongst my sort of friends and colleagues, I've had so many Zoom meetings now. Sometimes you have to really think about someone and think, oh, actually, I haven't actually met them physically yet. And yet you count them as really, you know, someone you really value and someone that you're working with. So yeah, I think Zoom has been terrific for that.
Yeah, one of the positives to come out of COVID, right? We all got on Zoom and we all had to, I mean, I didn't do Zoom at all before COVID. I hated the bloody thing. And now I don't think twice about doing something like this. But pre-pandemic, I would have been, nah, that wouldn't have been my comfort zone at all. So I think we've got to look for something positive out of COVID, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, the interesting thing I think about your story is that you're not just somebody that sort of theorizes about business, and you know, I mean, you've been through real life experience yourself of running businesses. Tell us a little bit about that. What you know, where did you start?
I had a pub at one. My first business I actually ran was a proper pub, you know, with roses around the door, and you know, a free house in the North Norfolk countryside. So yes, so a real business from I worked in the social club for the 3 years before, someone else's business, and I used to be sort of manager there, so I would have day-to-day control of running that. But I found it was a whole new ball game being an entrepreneur. I was sure that if I just did the sort of things they did and did it, you know, my place, it would be wonderful, and learn all the entrepreneurial skills by making every single mistake it was actually possible to make. And I'm glad I didn't know how green I was, because I would never have done it.
I know. What would we do if we had our lives again over, right? Would we do the same thing?
I loved it. I met some really, really great people and got, you know, lots of good experience. Discovered that marketing was my thing, because I used to sort of sell the pub on like the little pub with a big atmosphere, and we used to have live music. And when we couldn't afford to pay for live music, we used to have jamming sessions, all the locals. We used to say to people, and somebody would come with a trombone, and someone else would bring a drum kit, and you think, is this going to work? And it always did. It absolutely always did. So it was a good grounding. But I hadn't discovered business support. I hadn't discovered training. I hadn't discovered lifelong learning. I didn't know you could train for business skills. I had no idea, really no idea.
Well, whatever happened with that, you obviously then. So how did you move from the sort of the public house, you know, that kind of hospitality industry into the chamber? You went into the chamber and managed big parts of that. How did that happen?
It was discovering business support, I think. I did a course that when I was decided to sell the pub, and I thought, well, where does that leave me, really? Because you know, yes, I've managed a business, but I haven't got a boss who could say, oh, she's a great manager. There was just me saying, yeah. So I thought, well, what do I need? And the Chamber of Commerce was running a course, and I thought, well, that's quite interesting. So I did the course, and it was brilliant. It was a very valuable business grounding. And they just said one day, well, go and find out about a business, go and, you know, go to the Winds and, you know, go.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I don't know what a Chamber of Commerce does. So I went downstairs where everyone else was outdoors. I just went downstairs and I said, would you mind terribly, can someone tell me exactly what a chamber does? And I absolutely hooked. And I'm thinking, you mean all those mistakes that I made in my business, you could have helped me make them on paper, and I wouldn't have made them. And they said, yeah. And I just thought, I want to be part of this. I really want to be part of the solutions rather than the problems. And I thought I could bring that some of that pain and awareness of what the issues were and how lonely you can feel in business and just not knowing, you know, where to go and who can help. And I was just totally hooked. So yes, sign me out.
Fantastic. I mean, I think you've hidden this a little bit under your bushel, really, but you've got an MBA from the UEA, University of East Anglia, for marketing, haven't you?
Yeah, that was just the learning bug, really. I mean, I started off really just with this continuous learning. I was using every skill I learned because I was business advisor, sort of, you know, the job I was doing, and I was going out meeting all these wonderful businesses. And of course, I learned them probably the most from them because they were businesses doing really exciting things, or businesses doing things you think, well, I wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
And I was doing training to back that up. So I did the Chartered Institute of Marketing first of all, which was the longer course actually. It took 3 years to go through. It was a certificate and then a diploma afterwards. But then I did the MBA, as you said, the UEA, and it was just that hunger to really understand business and be able to keep up, or to try and be one page ahead, I think, of the businesses I was advising and saying, well, you know, yes, there's a business over here that's doing that, or have you thought about this, or you know, that. So I loved it. I just couldn't get enough of it. It was sort of like the batteries I needed for the day job, really.
Yeah. No, I that it really underlines your expertise, doesn't it? You know, it's a massive qualification to have, and it does sort of set you apart, I'm sure, from some people that set up as a business coach perhaps, and they're not at that level. So I think that's really impressive to have that on your resume. And sort of following on from all that experience, you know, working experience of running a business, and then managerial and the kind of that level in working in the chamber, you introduced me to Nigel Bottrell. Hello, Nigel. And we're big fans, aren't we? Entrepreneur Circle. Thank you for doing that for me. And if anyone wants to know anything about Entrepreneur Circle, then please message Angie. She'll tell you all about it and where to go. But we're big fans. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about that in terms of, you know, what difference has that made to your business, do you think, as a coach?
I think it's just amazing. Again, it's a bit like business support. And I said I was allowed to go and, you know, buy a pub and start my pub and run my business without any support, or, you know, I hadn't even read like a textbook. And then there's this organisation that exists solely with the aim of helping its members to grow their business. That's it. They don't do anything else. They just help people to grow their businesses. There's just so much what the economy needs, because I'm just passionate about economic development, and I think why I love doing what I do, because I think that's just a little bit part of that, because if I can make a business successful, you're contributing. And there's a lot of weight on business shoulders, because we have to pay all this money back, don't we, after lockdown, that the government has spent, quite rightly. But they're looking to business and say, right, it's business that's got to be the engine of recovery. Businesses have got to deliver the employment. Businesses have got to grow. They've got to move forward. And then there's this entrepreneur circle who's actually telling businesses how to make that possible. Just getting one business at a time and saying, well, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. And it's that brilliant support of being part of a membership organisation, because like everybody, it's got a Facebook group, but that's a Facebook group like no other. You know, you can ask almost any question, you know, like from, is the software any good? Should I buy it? To, you know, should I restructure? Should I sell? All of life's questions and business questions are there. And people will give you the time. You know, there's so often people would, you know, just offer a bit of advice, and quite often people just say, ring me, just ring me and I'll help. I've been there. So it's a great organisation.
Yeah, I mean, you've introduced me to, well, you didn't introduce me to BNI, but I met you through BNI, and then of course you suggested I get involved with Entrepreneur Circle. I have to say, as a business owner, you know, to have be surrounded by other business owners, not in my industry or industries that I'm connected to, but just business at large, and hearing that we're all sort of on the same journey and we're all trying to grow our businesses, you know, obviously, and come out the other side of the pandemic. That was a huge business challenge, wasn't it? But then just to be able to market our businesses and get our businesses online and build up our online presence, as well as our offline, you know, bricks and mortar presence. I mean, these are all challenges that all business owners are facing world over. Actually, it's not unique to the UK. It's across the world. I see the same thing here in the States. So I just think things like Entrepreneur Circle are just such a great resource, and I'm so pleased you introduced me to it, and so good that Marcus Sheridan is in there. And we've certainly adopted the you know, they ask you answer philosophy here in Shergroup, and it's been great for us. Apart from anything else, it makes it really easy to write content because you just answer the questions that all the public are asking you, which we get a lot. So yeah, so thank you for that introduction into Entrepreneur Circle. I mean, I know you think that business networking events are useful, right? You get a lot out of them. I get a lot out of them. Do you think people will go back to going to meetings and wanting to connect face to face?
Absolutely. I think when businesses get together, I think the exchange, you can hear the chatter in the room, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not as easy to do in a kind of a Zoom group, but live face to face, you can hear that kind of buzz, can't you, of chatting going on. And I think that's wonderful. And I run one of the groups for the Entrepreneur Circle, a little group in Bury St Edmunds, and that group is formed and they're so supportive of one another. They're brilliant. It's like a little soft mastermind, as I describe it. And we've got a business theme, topic normally that we're going to look at, and it is Marcus Sheridan next time, I believe it is.
All right, good.
Yeah, it's the subject of the work. We have a workbook and we sort of brainstorm a topic and talk about how we can use it. And there's always someone in the room who's explored it. There'll be people in the room who've read his book because they know what we're going to talk about. And there will be other people who are saying, well, really, that's going to make a difference to my business. And it's just wonderful that they can have that conversation and just really help each other. And it is small businesses helping really quite big businesses. It's just because of their experiences and their journey and their discoveries. Sometimes it's just like somebody will just tell you about a little piece of software change your life.
No, definitely. That's entirely right. I picked up, I mean, I do have a few gurus. Nigel Botterill is one of those gurus, but there are other gurus as well, and it's amazing the little things that you pick up from just talking to them. So that's, I completely agree with you. So I mean, as we come to the end of this sort of interview, what advice are you giving business owners? What would be your advice?
I think if they want a business coach, or if they've got a problem, is to tell someone, share it before it kind of festers or or gets any worse. There's no reason to be unhappy about your business or to be stuck. There's just like a wealth of support out there. A lot of it free, a lot of it's just asking, for advice. I mean, you've been so generous to me in this conversation, saying, oh, you've helped me. The amount of debt that I owe you for the support you've given me, and just being a mentor and saying to me, yes, you can actually do it. My conundrum was mixing two sides of my business, which are completely different. One is coaching and the other is much softer, it's health and wellness. And you said, well, it's you can do it. And of course you showed me that Shergroup has many facets and many solutions for many business problems. You're not a sort of one solution company at all, and you showed me that actually I could have the business that I wanted. So thank you for that. I really did
I'm so glad it yeah, just made sense to me about what you're doing. You just got that essence about you, about somebody that wants to help people, and the things that you do, the coaching and your essential oils business, they just do help people. Apart from anything else, just having calming remedies, I mean, that in itself is something that we could all do with. I don't know whether it's aimed at one particular gender or not. I don't want to get into that particularly, but I think it, just being able to calm down and take some of these steps, in a logical way. It's been really good to see how you've done that, and I'm sure how you're helping other business owners. And indeed, that's the entrepreneur circle way, isn't it? He builds it up week by week into capability, which when you look at it from the start, you think, how am I going to do that? He breaks it all down into bite-sized chunks.
It is funny, there are parallels with the kind of the essential oils bit of business, because they say, we're changing life just one drop at a time. It's like just the next drop that would suit you and your family and your community. And with what I'm trying to do with business and what the Entrepreneur Circle does as well, it's just the next right step for you. You haven't got to just go and climb that mountain tomorrow, just to get closer to where you want to be. And it's that kind of self-support, sort of being there for yourself, taking time out to just stop and look at your business and to ask yourself what you really want, or to ask yourself what you really want out of life, if it's just the personal journey. And it's those things, I think, that put you then on the right track. Otherwise you're just really busy and you're just in the mess of it all, and it's all just too much, it's overwhelming. But if you just take stock, and especially if you've got either a trusted friend, a mentor, somebody who can support you and just listen to you. Often it's just listen to you, and sometimes just be a mirror back to that person and say, you've told me this, or I get the feeling that what makes you happy is this and unhappy is that. And quite often people haven't thought about it. And we come from backgrounds quite often where, they taught us to work hard. And, really what I want to say to people is you can have it all. Hard work can be a part of it and a means of getting there, but you can actually have it all. In fact, you were meant to. I will dare to that you were meant to have it all.
I agree.
Just, why not? You actually deserve it.
Yeah. Another good friend of ours, Wendy McLean, she talks about limiting beliefs, doesn't she? Yes. Don't limit your belief. And what is good about you is that you really do see the potential in people and want to help them exploit it. So if a business owner wants to find out about working with you, or working, I want them to work with you. I don't want to work with anyone else. So let's not talk about anybody else. She's the lady. What do they? What's that first session going to look like?
Certainly for me, and how I do it with people is just a chat. You don't have to prepare for it. You are the world's expert on you.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, that's right. You are the world's expert on you. May not be anything else, but I can attest to that.
So I'm not going to ask anybody anything, and I'm not trying to catch them out or ask them any clever questions. It really is just I want to know how they feel, and I want to know what they want to achieve. And if they want it enough, I will want it with them, and I will match their commitment to getting them there. And I think that's it. And it is just a conversation. It's not sort of forms to fill in. And I think, in a 45-minute conversation, you know whether you can work together. If what you're saying is a good fit, they think, yes, I understand. I can understand you. I can work with you, and then you can explore whether working together is necessary. Sometimes magic conversation just fixes it for a while.
Well, I do think, talking to you, first of all, you've got that aura of trustworthiness and whatever is said to you, I know is, you regard that as just sacrosanct in terms of confidentiality, which I think is really important. But I think you're, if you don't mind me saying, your biggest attribute really is you're approachable. And certainly for some of us, I've had a couple of goes at business coaches, and they, you go and you start with your dream and your big idea, and it's like shot to bits before you've even really said your first paragraph, and I know with you, it was you actually, I think, were the one that had the, you came along and said what you thought Shergroup looked like to you, and it was hugely encouraging. And that's a great place to start with a coach. I think that the coach sees the dream. Whether you can get to it once you start to look into the business and the sustainability of the business, maybe that's a different conversation you need to take people down. But I certainly know that the approachability and the combined with the expertise is a huge asset. And I would really encourage people to come and talk to you and to take that first step with you. So Angie, thank you so much for guesting on this Shergroup on the sofa. I know we're not actually sitting on the sofa, but I don't care about that. The whole point was that it was a relaxed conversation, which is exactly what we've had today. So thank you very much. And for everyone staying with us on this episode of Shergroup on the sofa, yeah, we're talking about business. We're talking about the issues that affect real business owners. I'm a real business owner. Angie's a real business owner. And we just want to talk about the things that we can do to help business owners move forward. Whether or not we had the pandemic, we would still be doing this because we're interested in hearing about what's working for you in your business. It might be fantastic, in which case come on Shergroup on the sofa and share that with us. We love to hear the success stories. So you can follow us on all our social channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Twitter. Angie has got her website. I'll put that in the show notes, and all her channels as well, ways to connect with her. And we just say thank you very much for tuning in. Please watch out for Angie's business, Essential Business, and for our business, Shergroup. And we'd love to help you if we can, and point you in the direction of some of the things we've talked about today. We'll certainly put all that in the show notes. So Angie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to see you, and lovely to be on the virtual sofa with you.
Yes, the virtual sofa, that's the one, isn't it? That's exactly the one. And I'm sure we'll see you again. I'm sure we'll see you again. So we'd love to invite you back sometime in